Back at it again. RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella here for this September 8th, 2025. You're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show. We're live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. It's a can't stop, won't stop situation. And boy, oh boy, what a week end of football, college football, NFL draft watch. We're going to get into all that and much, much more here on our second week of live programming. So buckle up, hunker down. Not too bad if you tuned into the Sunday pregame show. We went 9-4 yesterday against the spread, counting Thursday and Friday night's games. We are now 10-5 against the spread. Not too bad to start the week one NFL action. We'll get into the Monday night primetime affair between the Chicago Bears and Minnesota Vikings later on in the show. We'll also get into our NFL draft watch. We just posted the scout notebook over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got 15 scouting reports courtesy of the NFL Draft Bible Scouting Department for you to digest and consume. We'll try to hit that in the B block. Okay, but we're going to begin with the NFL and that wild affair on Sunday night. Buffalo edging out Baltimore in a just unbelievable game. Buffalo Bills scoring 16 unanswered points to win the game. A rare costly Derrick Henry fumble after a great performance setting up the Bills there. And I'll tell you what, we talked about the kicking game yesterday, and would it come down to the rookie Tyler Loop or the veteran 41-year-old Matt Prater signed on Thursday, took the red eye in for a workout. He kicks the game winner. Buffalo takes it 41-40. You saw a lot of action in this game. Nuke Hopkins with the one-handed catch on Christian Benford. You had Lamar Jackson getting into it with the fan after he hit Hopkins on the helmet. And I'll tell you what, this game now carries some weight because there's a very good chance come week 18 that these are the top two teams record-wise in the AFC. And this game could ultimately decide home field advantage. So if they finish with the same record, Buffalo is going to have that home field advantage come playoff time, which means something. It means a lot. And so we don't want to make too much of week one matchups, but there were some games here that had some early ramifications, the Bills and Ravens being one of them. And I'll tell you what, that's an early contender for game of the year. NFL is going to have a hard time topping that one. And I do believe we are going to see the Bills and Ravens meet once again once it comes around to the postseason action. Okay. Now, for whatever it's worth, I had Baltimore over Buffalo. I flip-flopped. If you tuned in to the Sports Rage podcast on Tuesday, I originally went to Buffalo, and yesterday I switched it to Baltimore. It was a coin toss kind of affair, as we saw, 41-40. So Buffalo circling the wagons, getting off to that 1-0 start. All right, we'll try to touch base on every game here and just run through it. Tampa Bay eking one out against the Atlanta Falcons, 23-20. You saw Baker Mayfield drive them down the field. And how about Emeka Egbuka? We talked about it. One of my candidates for Rookie of the Year. 2 touchdowns. Having a big day. Christian Godwin injured. No problem. Emeka Egbuka is here to deliver. And I think he's going to have a big season opposite of Mike Evans. So Tampa Bay getting on the board with the W there. And, listen, Atlanta tried to shore up that defense. Jalen Walker, James Pierce Jr., we'll see how much of an impact that has. But Tampa Bay has now won 5 straight week 1 games, and they have won 4 straight division titles. And again, NFC South, right now, big game, Tampa Bay up 1 on the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix, I thought, played well. You saw him with the Superman stretch down there at the goal line. I think Atlanta is going to be contending. I don't know if they get into the playoffs, but they're definitely going to be a team to contend with this upcoming season. Now, we talked about Cincinnati and Cleveland and how well Joe Flacco does in that Cleveland stadium, but This was a close affair. Again, just like we mentioned yesterday, the Bengals coming out on top 17-16 here, which was key for them because they've really gotten off to slow starts. And so to get off on a winning start, I think meant a lot of positive things for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, it wasn't the prettiest situation, and the Browns had a chance to win it there with their kicker, their rookie kicker, Andre Smith, who missed a game tying extra point, the possible go ahead field goal in the fourth quarter. And the Bengals come out on top despite their bungles. And I'll tell you, the Bengals now just 141 yards of offense. I think that speaks to the Cleveland Browns defense, though. This Cleveland Browns team is going to be competitive. Joe Flacco can keep them in a ball game like we saw. It just isn't going to lend itself to many W's when it's all said and done. So I fully expect Cleveland to showcase Dylan Gabriel at some point this season. Who knows? Maybe we'll see Shador Sanders as well. And if it doesn't work out, Cleveland could very well be in a position to try to find another quarterback come April when the 2026 NFL draft arrives. All right, Miami. We talked about the dark cloud hovering over this Miami Dolphins team, 14 players on the injury report coming into this matchup. We said their depth was going to be tested, and we found out what they're made of. And the Colts just dominated the Miami Dolphins. They made Daniel Jones look like a world beater, and I don't think it was a product of Daniel Jones, just a product of a terrible Miami Dolphins team. And you saw Tyreek Hill yapping over there on the sidelines, yelling at his coach and pissed off. And you could just see like the patience is wearing thin in Miami with Tyreek Hill. You could see the look on the coach's face, like, dude, whatever, man, like grow up. Who wants to deal with this guy? I'll tell you, I think Miami, if they're not already dangling Tyreek Hill for a trade, I expect them to ship him out. He's bad news, bad vibes. It was a trickle down effect. Mike McDaniel, I'm not sure how long he's going to survive there in Miami, but if this first game was any indication, it's going to be a long season for the Dolphins. Daniel Jones, I think, had 2 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown runs. Jonathan Taylor running hard in the trenches. And how about Lou Anarumo, my paisan, now the defensive coordinator for the Colts? The Bengals discarded him once, a hot head coaching candidate, and he had the Colts defense there smothering Tua, who was actually benched in this game. He didn't even finish the game. Zach Wilson came in as relief of Tua there at the end. And Daniel Jones, the 5th quarterback since 1950 to have 250 passing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns in the first game of the season. Let's put him in the Pro Bowl, huh? Shall we? Daniel Jones. But hey, the Colts, got to give them credit where credit is due. They come out, I mean, they dominated this game from start to finish. It was over before it even started. 33-8. The Colts come out on top there. Ric Serritella going around the league on the All Access Football Report. Now, I told you I got quite a few things right here in week 1, and I told you Jacksonville was going to control this game from start to finish, which they pretty much did. Bryce Young, I'm not a believer in. Neither am I in Dave Canales, who to me was the most unprepared head coach in the entire National Football League a year ago. I don't know if their act is going to be much better. Tetiora McMillan made some nice plays, was very productive. How about Brenton Strange for the Jaguars, the former 2nd-round pick out of Penn State? Saw our guy Brian Baldinger lay out some film where he just pummeled some guys on some blocks. Also led the Jaguars with 59 receiving yards. And Etienne had a big day. There were some question marks about that Jacksonville backfield, but Etienne definitely delivered. I think he had a buck 43 on 16 carries, including a 71-yard gasher. But, listen, the Panthers, they dealt off Adam Thielen. Outside of McMillan, there's not going to be a lot of threats on this Carolina offense. And I think it's going to be a long year. In fact, I think it's a dead heat now between Dave Canales and Mike McDaniel in terms of which NFL head coach is the first to receive a pink slip this year. But Travis Hunter, 39 snaps on the offensive side of the ball, lined up in the slot 59% of the time. He caught 6 of his 8 targets for 33 yards, just 6 snaps on defense, and all of them at the left cornerback position. He was targeted once. McMillan got him for a 12-yard first down. But that was the debut of Travis Hunter. And Sunday marked the fewest points, 10, and total yards allowed, 255 by the Jaguars in their season opener since 2017, the infamous Saxonville season where Jacksonville went to the AFC Championship. So some hope. I think there's some optimism here for the Jaguars. I told you I was skeptic of James Gladstone, and then he came in, seems to have pushed all the right buttons here. So Jacksonville out to a 1-0 start. Carolina, the watch is on. I think Carolina and New Orleans are going to battle to be the bottom of the basement for the entire league and compete for that number 1 overall pick. All right, how about 73-year-old Pete Carroll making his Las Vegas Raiders debut against Mike Vrabel and his debut with the New England Patriots? You know, Geno Smith was dealing here, had himself a day. Ashton Genty, not so much. Did get a touchdown there down near the goal line. Drake May struggled, I think, to convert and put points on the board. Will Campbell had a strip sack that he gave up and a false start. He was nursing that bum ankle, so not the greatest start for the rookie there, and Will Campbell. So Mike Vrabel, you know, I thought he might be a contender for Coach of the Year. Who knows? Maybe Pete Carroll will. But the defense for the Raiders coming up big. Max Crosby, we had a Tyree Wilson sighting, and Geno Smith just had a phenomenal day, 24-34, 362 yards, the most passing yards in a Raiders quarterback debut, breaking Dan Pastorone's record in 1980, 45-year-old mark. So Geno Smith off to a good start, and that's what Pete Carroll wanted, a quarterback that he can depend on, a quarterback that he could trust, a quarterback that he knows. And the Raiders are going to have an uphill climb now. Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs. That is the toughest division in football, in my opinion. We'll see where the Raiders fall here, but they get off the snide with a 1-0 start over the New England Patriots. They travel across the country, get that W on the board. All right, I mentioned the New Orleans Saints. I think they are the worst team, and you saw Spencer Rattler, who was efficient, but the offense really didn't do much. Like, he's not going to put a team on his back and carry you. He can make plays. He can make completions. There's just not a lot of explosiveness on the Saints offense. And how about the rookie Will Johnson, 2nd-round pick out of Michigan, fell in the draft due to some injuries, played 57% of the defensive snaps, but he was all over the place, tracking the ball, and had a would-be interception negated by a Cardinals penalty. So a very impressive performance for Will Johnson matching up against Chris Olave there. Now, we mentioned Kyler Murray came into this game with an illness. He did very well for himself. And it says it's his 21st career game with 2+ touchdowns and 100+ passer rating, tying Kurt Warner for the 3rd most in Cardinals franchise history. So Kyler Murray moving on up in the Arizona Cardinals record books as they take care of business against the New Orleans Saints. And that was one of my best bets, covered by the hook, 6.5. They win by 7. And we move on now to one of my favorite games of the day, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the New York Jets. And the Jets did well. I mean, the Jets really controlled most of this game here. Justin Fields looked like a good player, man. And again, we talked about this on the Sunday show. Outside of Garrett Wilson, who had himself a phenomenal day, where are the Jets' points going to come? You saw Breece Hall do some damage. I told you, Braylon Allen, this guy makes the opponents make business decisions. Braylon Allen is going to have a very prominent role for this New York Jets roster. But at the end of the day, It was the good old friend Aaron Rodgers, uh, providing us with the post-game quotes. I saw the New York Post. Now you can play. He gets the back page. Not any of the Jets quarterbacks, not any of the Giants quarterbacks, not even the Buffalo Bills quarterback. The Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback steals the limelight of the New York Post. He comes in and he was just murdering the Jets on play action. I mean, he was just lethal on the play action plays and 4 touchdown passes. How about that for Aaron Rodgers? 20 of 30, 244 yards. He was named the team captain. We wondered how he would fit in Pittsburgh. They love him. I mean, his teammates love him over there. And I'll tell you what, he just got it done. Now, Sauce Gardner and DK Metcalf, that was a fun matchup to watch. Gardner was on Metcalf on 30 of his 33 routes and allowed just 1 reception for 11 yards on 3 targets. So Sauce Gardner did his job. But when he wasn't defending Metcalf was going off. He finished with 4 catches for 83 yards on 7 targets. They targeted him almost every time Sauce Gardner wasn't on him. So that's something to keep an eye on moving forward in terms of the Jets' cornerback depth. Sauce Gardner can't do it all, but Aaron Rodgers has tied Tom Brady for the most career games with 4+ touchdowns and no interceptions. He's actually done that 28 times in his career. Unbelievable. All right. So kudos to Aaron Rodgers. He lets the Jets know and those people in the building that he can still play. And I'll tell you what, the Jets still, you got to take the positive out of that game. They had it. You kind of felt when Pittsburgh got the ball back that it was going to be another Jets debacle, and new coach, new regime, just the same old Jets. I hate to say it. And it's going to be that kind of year for this ball club. I don't think, maybe 7 is the watermark ceiling for the Jets to win, but they will be competitive. The New York Giants, not so much. I thought they would be competitive. Russell Wilson making his 200th career start. He showed us who we thought and knew he was. I got to question the decision to keep Russell Wilson in there as the starter now moving forward. And you saw Brian Daboll questioned about Jackson Dart following the game. And I thought his answer might not have been revealing, but what he said was, I think you just have to have a package in there for your backup. So when they are called upon to play, they're ready and you don't have to change up the whole scheme. Well, that tells me, and there was a package in play there for Dart yesterday. And I think Daboll probably went against his gut, not putting Dart in there because the offense just couldn't get anything going. The run game was almost non-existent. The offensive line were like New York City subway turnstiles once again. Frustrating if you're a New York Giants fan, but I just question I understand the logic. You think Russell Wilson gives you a better chance to win. I'm not so sure about that. And I know it's a limited body of work. Regular season games are a lot different than preseason games, but it just feels like, I don't know, maybe there's a little bit more upside with Jackson Dart. I know this. You can play out the string with Russell Wilson, and this is a non-playoff team. Okay. I mean, they lost 28-6. What was the score? 21-6. There was no life. And so I know if you continue down this road, it's not going to produce the results that you want. So why bother? Why not give it a go with the young guy? Get the rookie in there because guess what? Take the lumps now so that later on in the season he can actually win you some ball games. I don't think it's benefiting Jackson Dart or the New York Giants organization by letting him sit on the bench. Now, every team, every quarterback, every situation, every franchise is different. In this situation, it just makes no sense to me to keep Russell Wilson as the starter. It starts time. Let's kick those training wheels off. I fully expect Dart to be in there at some point next Sunday. And to me, I always said week 5 against the Saints, circle that on your calendar for the first start of Jackson Dart. I actually would put that timeline ahead of schedule now. I think if the Giants looked anything like they did yesterday, Jackson Dart will be in their next game, and he could start as soon as week 3. Ric Serritella, so you know who said it. Now, just a quick programming reminder: tonight. Told you it's a can't stop, won't stop situation. Tonight we have our New and Blue New York Giants podcast. My co-host Dan Orlando will be joining me live at 7 p.m. Eastern. That'll be broadcast again on YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you're tuned in now, please smash that like button, give it a share, subscribe, get the show alerts, tell a friend that it's them again. We're talking football. It's your home for real football talk, live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. We're going around the league, NFL edition here on this Monday morning recap, and more Giants talk coming tonight. But we didn't talk much about the Commanders here. Deebo Samuel, he was certainly a problem for the Giants. They couldn't figure him out. And how about Bill? Ja'Cory Krosky-Moret, scored a touchdown there with a 42-yard run. And I'll tell you what, Washington, Philadelphia, clearly to me are going to be the two teams here in the NFC East. They're going to be a problem. All right. One team that was somewhat of a problem for the Denver Broncos were the Tennessee Titans, because I had this as my best bet. We lost this one by the hook. It was 8.5. Denver won 20-12. So they win by 8. Didn't cover. But Bo Nix, had some turnovers here. Titans defense played tough. Cam Newton had some blown opportunities by his wide receivers. I saw Calvin Ridley with the uncharacteristic drop. And the Titans, they're just another one who lacks ammunition. And so Bo Nix, 25 of 40, 176 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions, but just 2 of 7 under pressure. And so speaking of pressure, we talked about it. The Denver Broncos led the NFL. I think they had 62 sacks as a team a year ago. They had 6 sacks on Sunday by 6 different players, and that really was the key to the ball game. So despite 4 turnovers, the 6 sacks, too much for rookie Cam Ward to overcome. Denver, I wish they would have won by more, but they definitely controlled the game. All right, over to the Wild Wild West. San Francisco escaped Seattle with a 17-13 narrow victory here. And Sam Darnold, what a continuation from the end of last year. You saw Bosa with the sack strip to seal the deal. And that's going to be a summary of Sam Darnold in a nutshell there for the Seattle Seahawks. They may have actually went backwards at the quarterback position based on what you saw from Geno Smith yesterday and then what Sam Darnold turned in. I mean, this feels like a team maybe moving backwards instead of forward. We'll see as time wears on. But Christian McCaffrey, 142 scrimmage yards. No concerns there with the injury, even though he was considered questionable. Brock Purdy was pressured almost 60% of his dropbacks and did very well, completing 13 of 20 for 126 yards under pressure. Now, he did have a pair of interceptions, which put a damper on the performance. And the 31st career game for Christian McCaffrey to have 50 rushing, 50 receiving, and only Marshall Faulk, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, has more with 41. All right, Detroit at Green Bay. The Packers put a beat down on the Lions. We talked about the Lions coaching continuity. How would it work with all these new coordinators, all these new assistants, a banged up Green Bay receiving core who winded up playing and doing well. Romeo Dobbs, 48-yard touchdown. Jaden Reed, a 17-yard touchdown. Josh Jacobs doing what he does. And I'll tell you what, the thing that caught my attention was the Isaac Tesla catch. I mean, this guy really made the most of his opportunities. He's going to be a real weapon there in Detroit for that Lions passing attack. Jamar Gibbs was held relatively in check, just 50 yards on 19 touches, never really got it going. And then, of course, Micah Parsons was the key storyline here. He did play 29 reps, had 3 pressures, including a sack, was head over heels about the atmosphere and environment there in Green Bay after the game during his post-interview press conference. All right, winding down here, the last game before we get to a quick break. The Rams taking care of business 14-9 over the Houston Texans. Matthew Stafford's back, holding up just fine. Devontae Adams with some big plays. Puka Nacua, 10 catches for 130 yards. He was already looking like the Pro Bowler that he is. And, Texas kept it close like they usually do. It was a defensive battle. But the Rams here, Matthew Stafford tying Matt Ryan as the second fastest player to reach 60,000 career passing yards in NFL history. He did it in 233 games. Drew Brees did it in 215 games. And again, I mentioned it on Sunday's show. Matthew Stafford is compiling some Hall of Fame-like numbers. He's got the Super Bowl ring. He was buried in Detroit on all those losing organizations, but compiled some serious numbers. It's going to be interesting to see how Stafford fares when he's up for the call in Canton. Okay, so there is your NFL Week 1 recap. Again, if you tuned into Sunday's show, we were 9-4 on the day against the spread, counting the Thursday and Friday night game, 10-5 on the week against the spread. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll take a look at that Monday Night Football affair. We'll also take a look at the college football side of things and some of the prospects we're keeping our eye on for the upcoming 2026 NFL Draft. It's Ric Serritella for the All Access Football Daily Show. We'll be back right after this. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL Draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL Draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RIC VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody. We are live on the All Access Football Show, 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. It's your new home for real football talk. We just got into the NFL Week 1 that was on Sunday, a jam-packed Sunday from start to finish, and we only go up from here. We got 17 more of these weeks to go with the NFL action, but we're going to turn our attention now over to the college football side of things. Of course, we always have our eye on the NFL draft, bringing you the names you need to know first. Since 2002, it's what we do. And the NFL Draft Bible Scouting Department just jam-packed the Scout Notebook this morning, published on allaccessfootball.com. You can follow along at home. We've got 15 reports there. And of course, the big one was Oklahoma and Michigan. And Oklahoma really won this game convincingly. They were the better team over the Michigan Wolverines. A little bit too much for the fabulous freshman there in Michigan, Bryce Underwood. And how about John Mateer? Okay. That was a big, big statement game for him. As we alluded to on the Saturday show with Russell Landy, who will be with us each and every Saturday for our college football pregame show with the NFL Draft Slant, we stated that Mateer had never faced a caliber type of defense such as Michigan during his time at Washington State. He was good both through the air, on the ground, with his legs, showing, again, the ability to improvise, extend plays. And I'll tell you what, he's got some velocity on that ball release there. So John Mateer, can he crack our NFL top 10 big board? We shall see. We'll have the updated rankings on our Draft Insider like we do every Friday over on the website. He's just on the outside looking in of that top 10. And I think the questions, and he's only a junior. He'll probably come back for another year. But I think the biggest concern is going to be off the field with those gambling allegations that arose in August during training camp, the screenshots of his Venmo with gambling purposes. NFL teams are going to do their due diligence when it comes to that. But very good performance for John Mateer. How about Arch Manning getting off the snide? All right. They welcomed in San Jose State, and Arch Manning feasted. 38-7 thumping. Manning was 19 of 30 for 295 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also added 4 rushes for 23 yards and another score on the ground. So looking much more poised, very sharp, very comfortable against that cushiony San Jose State defense, as opposed to the Ohio State look and the confusion of Matt Patricia, which he saw in week 1. So, Arch Manning will be keeping tabs on throughout the year. But how about Byram Brown? 2 years ago, this was a very heralded prospect on the NFL radar. He dealt with some injuries last year and was very limited. But I think he did come back in that bowl game, played very well, and now he's off to a scorching start. They knocked off the ranked Boise State Broncos in week 1. They knocked off the number 13th ranked Florida Gators this past weekend, 18-16. And Byram Brown was on full display, 263 passing yards, 66 rushing yards, had a touchdown. And I'll tell you what, his draft stock is definitely on the come around. He's got size, athleticism, arm talent. Byram Brown, he could be a day 3 type of prospect, a developmental guy that teams definitely want to roll the dice on. All right, now I was up in Monmouth for training camp to get an up-close look at Derek Robertson. He posted another 6-pack of touchdowns, 4 touchdowns in week 1. He's got 10 touchdowns through the first 2 weeks of action. I totally expect Monmouth quarterback Derek Robertson to be playing in one of these postseason all-star games. I don't think it'll be the Senior Bowl or Shrine Bowl, but certainly you could see him pop up in maybe the Hula Bowl or the Tropical Bowl. I know they've got the American Bowl. There's a lot of games when January rolls around when it comes to the all-star game circuit, but I'm looking at Derek Robertson. Okay, we had our guy Jarrett Regal down at Villanova to check up on the offensive linemen down there. They got a pair of them. Now, I saw Tammy Agi Rotu 2 years ago in training camp. Good looking tackle, 6'4", 307 pounds, great length, 34-inch arms, 81-inch wingspan. Got that city toughness out of Queens, New York. And Stefan Voltaire also popping up on the radar this year. So 2 offensive linemen there at Villanova. And we love to bring you the names you need to know on the small school radar. We've got a couple of those guys sprinkled in the Draft Insider Report. How about Marquise Gillis from Delaware State getting Deshaun Jackson his first win of his college coaching career? And Gillis is a guy now who's a very tough between the tackles runner. He's exceeded the 100-yard barrier now in each of his first 2 games. And he's also showcasing the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. So this is a small school player under the radar, runs very tough, can pound the rock up the gut, and break some tackles, versatility as a runner and a receiver. I could see Marcus Gillis latching on as an undrafted free agent following the 2026 NFL draft. But we got you covered from Delaware State over to where do you want to go next? Let's go to Baylor because I watched the entire Baylor SMU game. What a game it was. 48-45. Baylor comes back in overtime, and you look at the stats for Sawyer Robertson, right? I think he had 404 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. But I've studied now Sawyer Robertson the last 2 weeks because there's a little bit of buzz on this young man. But I got to tell you something. I am not a fan. I just he drives me a little bit crazy with the errant throws. Like he'll have a clean pocket, time to throw, and it's just completely off the mark. Now, some of these might be the wide receiver's fault, but it just happens way too much. Both games that I watched him, just easy throws. He made, like the easy throws are difficult, and especially in the short to intermediate parts of the field. I just don't see the logic of investing a draft pick on this type of prospect. Now, I gave him a Tommy DeVito comparison if he hits his potential because he can be like a game manager with the dink and dunk kind of offensive attack, maybe at the next level as a potential backup. But don't be deceived by the box score. Okay. And that's how you get hurt when you start doing box score scouting because, like Sawyer Robertson, oh boy, the numbers look great. He must be a player. No, that's not the case. And I don't mean to dump on you, Sawyer, but yo, buckle up. Like, let's go here. What are we doing? I wrote about that in our Draft Insider Report. Let's see. Hank Beatty. How about that? A guy who was not on the national, not on the Blesto, not heavily on the NFL radar, and he busts out for a big day. 8 catches, 128 yards, shifty wide receiver, all-around playmaker, had a rushing touchdown lining up at quarterback. This guy has been shot out of a cannon from Rochester, New York, 5'10", 188 pounds. So he's going to be viewed as a slot option at the next level. He's expected to time in that mid 4.4 range, but Ryan Paglia doing a great job highlighting Hank Beatty from Illinois. Okay. Then Oregon, we got a couple defenders there from our guy Dom Ambrose highlighting Tatum to a Odie, the edge rusher out of Hawaii. Now has 8.5 career sacks. So he is a emerging pass rusher, downhill attacker, functional game speed, makes good use of his length, and very violent hands, can finish tackles. So keep an eye out on him. And Dylan Thieneman, okay, coming over from Purdue, now at Oregon, ball hawk safety, tackle machine, once again, all over the field, high football IQ, great frame. Lean frame, but sturdy frame, relentless motor. He is now viewed as a potential first round pick, and maybe, just maybe, even state a case as the top safety after Caleb Downs of Ohio State, who I fully expect to be a top 5 overall selection once we arrive to April. But check it out. The Scout Notebook is up there for you to digest and consume. And we've got several quarterbacks there. How about Jeremiah Cooper, the safety out of Iowa State? Very high opinions about him on the NFL radar. He's probably a day 2 selection. I think he's a top 100 pick. He added an interception, clutch interception there against Iowa. And Matty Campbell, he's got an eye for talent. So he recognized that Cooper's ball instincts, his ability to jump the routes, they moved him over from safety to cornerback. He's a shade under 6 foot at 5'11" and 5'8", 190 pounds. But Jeremiah Cooper definitely moving up on our NFL draft board. I'll talk about one more guy, Xavier Harris, okay, from Ole Miss, the defensive tackle, proving why he's one of the best premier defensive tackles in the nation. He's a top 50 prospect right now, but you saw him clogging the run, 6 tackles, also collected a sack for the second consecutive week. So when you talk about Xavier Harris from Ole Miss, 6'6", 320 pounds, he's one of these interior defensive linemen who can stuff the run, also bring a little bit of an interior pass rush, and the length, the size at 6'6" and 320 pounds makes him a very, very appealing prospect. So just a couple names from this morning's Scout Notebook. John Mateer aces the test, plus 15 prospects on the NFL Draft Radar, courtesy of the NFL Draft Bible Scouting Department. And the 2026 NFL Draft Bible is published in April, but you can kind of follow along on the website. If you click our rankings tab on the homepage menu there, you'll get access to all of our NFL Draft Watch team pages. And we've got about 70 schools, I would think, by now up there. And we list the top draft eligible prospects. Some of the team reports, we actually have a future watch going on for some of the players to keep an eye on for beyond 2026. And we do a great job, I think, just providing you with the players you need to know, the verified measurements, so you have an accurate baseline of how big or how small these players truly are, as opposed to the school bio websites, which are way off the mark. And we got projections, scouting reports, intel, boots on the ground analysis. We got guys all over the country bringing you the names you need to know. So again, use our discount promo code RICVIP, get a 30% discount, get a copy of the 2026 NFL Draft Bible. It's a bargain. Okay, we got about 15 minutes left in this hour of power. We talked about the NFL recap. We talked about some NFL draft prospects. And I will say, we're only in our second week of programming, but I have a feeling that the Saturday show is going to be the show I look forward to the most, because we got an incredible fan response and reaction from our Saturday pregame show. Again, veteran scout Russell Landy. You see me wearing the Sports Management Worldwide shirt. He also teaches the football GM and scouting course over at smww.com, which starts tonight. You can still get down on it. It's their most popular course. If you go to smww.com, click courses, you can still sign up. Starts tonight. John Wooten, Scout and Pioneer, Dane Vandernat, and Russell Landy will guide you through how to scout, what to look for, how to break into the business, open up that network. Okay. And I will say, we have several members of smww.com now working here at the Draft Bible, powered by All Access Football, your home for real football talk. We're live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. But what I was saying is Saturdays are appointment scheduled viewing. Okay. We really do a great job breaking it down, chopping it up, top prospects, marquee matchups, draft matchups. How about Dominique Orange going up against Logan Jones this past week in that Iowa State affair? I thought both players had their moments. Orange did have 6 tackles, but Logan Jones definitely held his own. And we talked about the phenomenal strength of the one Logan Jones. He's got the Iowa school record with a 595 pound, maybe it's a 695 pound squat, but he's strong as an ox. Logan Jones, he is our number 1 rated center on the 2026 NFL Draft Bible Big Board. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to take one more commercial break. When we come back, we're going to highlight and preview this Monday night affair, Minnesota Vikings, Chicago Bears. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after this. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RIC VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report, published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody. And RIC in the place to be. Ric Serritella, telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin. Buckle up for our Monday night football preview coming up right now. Of course, we went around the league in the A block, just broke down some top NFL prospects on our radar from the college football action in the B block. And it's all brought to you by allaccessfootball.com, bringing you year-round coverage of the NFL draft and everything pigskin. This is your home for real football talk. I see we've got over 300 people tuned in out there on the Twitterverse and YouTube and Facebook. Would it be so much for me to ask you here today on this Monday, September 8th, 2025, our 8th episode of the All Access Football Daily Show, to smash that like button? Just a small favor while you're here, since you're already tuned in, just give it a smash, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, get our new show alerts. We got the New and Blue podcast tonight, and New York Giants podcast. We'll break down the Giants Commanders a little bit more this evening. And hey, we're here each and every day, 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. So we appreciate the love and support. One thing we haven't been able to get traction on here is the chat comment section. So I love to get interactive with it. If you tuned into any of my old shows, the Football Playbook, the State of Football, NFL Draft Bible Radio, then you know we love to get interactive with it. So, hey, drop us a line. Let us know what part of the world you're watching in, and look forward to it as we roll on. Okay, Monday Night Football. Minnesota Vikings at the Chicago Bears. Minnesota favored by 1.5. At last check this morning before I came on the air, over under was set at 42.5, I believe. So again, we were 10-5 this week against the spread, picking the games. Not too shabby out of the gates. This primetime affair, Minnesota leads the all-time series 68-57 with 2 draws. But the Vikings have won 7 of the last 8 games over the Chicago Bears. Of course, it is the debut of JJ McCarthy, and I've been a big advocate that this JJ McCarthy move is an upgrade at the quarterback position. Now, again, an unknown commodity, but Kevin O'Connell, I think, is one of the greatest minds walking the planet when it comes to the game of football. He knows how to choose a signal caller. Just go look at the undrafted free agent Max Brosmer, who lit up the East-West Shrine Bowl, and it's almost leaves me dumbfounded how so many NFL scouts could be in attendance there throughout the entire week, see Max Brosmer as the clear-cut best signal caller throughout the week of practice and even into the game, and nobody had the balls to stand on the table to draft this guy in the war room. Pretty surprising. But Max Brosmer, a name you need to know for the future if something happens to JJ McCarthy. Of course, the Chicago Bears, I saw our fellow Substack partner in Tyler Dunn was on doing a show talking about the learning disability of the one Caleb Williams. And I think Caleb Williams now is in a make or break season, and Ben Johnson's not going to put up with it. Like, if you can't do your job, I think Caleb Williams is going to be on a quick hook this season. And in fact, I'm going to make a bold prediction and say Tyson Bagent actually starts more games than Caleb Williams for the Chicago Bears this year. And if that's true, what Tyler Dunn said, that there is a learning disability that maybe the Bears did not know about during the pre-draft process, well, that's a big deal because Ben Johnson has a very complex offense. And you saw Ben Johnson challenge Caleb Williams early on in training camp. I think it's a foreshadowing of things to come. Despite all the optimism surrounding the hiring of Ben Johnson, I think the Bears are in trouble. And I think Minnesota is going to win this game and win it easily. I think JJ McCarthy is going to have a fantastic game. We had our guy Thor Nystrom on last week, and he was talking about how much McCarthy has been involved down at the goal line, on the run, throwing on the move. You want a good prop bet? How about a JJ McCarthy rushing touchdown tonight? I can definitely see that happening. He is just the 5th quarterback since 1990 to make his first career start on Monday Night Football. How about that? So the spotlight is on JJ McCarthy. I think he will outperform, outproduce, outshine, outplay Caleb Williams and the Minnesota Vikings. Again, I think they will win this game handedly. I don't think there's even a doubt in my mind. I like the Vikings. Lay the points. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go 24-20 Minnesota for my final week 1 prediction. And maybe we can build upon our 10 wins against the spread for week number 1. All right. Any other notes? Let's see. Justin Jefferson, I think, is going to be good for a touchdown. Adam Thielen reunites with Minnesota, another playmaker there for JJ McCarthy to target. DeAndre Swift coming off a career high 1345 scrimmage yards. He's been a primetime performer, done very well on Monday Night Football in the past. Colston Loveland making his debut, the rookie tight end, where I thought the Bears got that one wrong. Time will tell. I thought Tyler Warren was the better player, better prospect, but Colston Loveland, who actually reminded me of Heath Miller coming out during the draft, will make his debut for the Chicago Bears. But I like the Minnesota Vikings on this one. That's going to be tonight for Monday Night Football. And we're just about out of time now. I flew solo today just because there's so much to cover. I think Sundays and Mondays will probably be that way. We had a locked and loaded guest lineup for you last week. I mentioned Thor Nystrom. We had Howard Balzer, Kayla Santiago, Neil Stratton, Russell Landy. This week, tomorrow, as a matter of fact, our good friend Emery Hunt from CBS Sports. Of course, you might know him from the Football Game Plan, the czar of the playbook, will join us here tomorrow. We'll talk more NFL, NFL draft, college football with Emery Hunt. Wednesday, we're going to have our Jersey brethren, Craig Haley from FCS Insider, bringing you the names you need to know when it comes to the FCS small school watch. I mentioned Derek Robertson from Monmouth in today's show, Marquise Gillis from Delaware State, the offensive lineman down there at Villanova. We'll get more small school prospects for you to consume on Wednesday with Craig Haley. Still Thursday, we're finding somebody, but Friday, one of my favorite guests, Austin Brooks, who covers the Georgia Bulldogs for the SI platform over at Sports Illustrated. And he's also a great draft analyst. Like if you want the 411 on the Georgia Bulldog prospects, Austin Brooks is going to deliver that on Friday. Of course, Georgia playing Tennessee this weekend. We've also got Notre Dame and Texas A&M, a couple SEC affairs to keep an eye on. Again, Saturday we'll be breaking down the prospects with Russ Landy. So another jam-packed week lined up for you here. This was our first episode of the second week. I guess technically Sunday is the start of the week, but I was telling Angelique yesterday, my days begin on Monday, or my weeks begin on Monday. They end on football Sunday. Today is the start of a new week, so we're going to roll right on through to Sunday. This was our 8th edition of the All Access Football Daily Show here on this Monday, September 8th, 2025. We'll be back at it again tomorrow with our guest, Emery Hunt, for Ric Serritella. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Ric Serritella checking in from the legendary Jersey Shore for the world-famous All Access Football, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show, our newest venture here at the world-famous All Access Football, read by all 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from around the world. And I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work in this great game of football for the past 2 decades. It's our 24th season of providing you independent analysis when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin, whether it's the NFL, college football, NFL draft, CFL, UFL. We'll be with you each step of the way, especially for draft season when we really get into high mode. Of course, it's all brought to you by the 2026 NFL Draft Bible, published in April, featuring over 500 in-depth scouting reports with our boots-on-the-ground analysis. We'll be on location at the All-Star Games, the NFL Scouting Combine, the Pro Day Circuit, counting you down to that 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. And be sure you check us out over at allaccessfootball.com. We've got a great promo discount for you listeners at home. If you enter our promo code RIC VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of all of our premium content. You'll unlock the magic. Get our NFL Draft Insider Reports, Scouting Notebook, of course, the World Football All Access Football Report published on Wednesday. It's your new home for real football talk. So follow along, give us a shout. We hope you're enjoying the show. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or X, please give it a like, a share, a subscribe, and we'll be with you each and every day here, 7 days a week, live, 10 a.m. Eastern, no days off, rain, sleet, hail, snow. The show must go on. For Ric Serritella and the All Access Football Daily Show, keep it locked, everybody.
message for you. He said, you are watching All Access Football.